The world plunged into darkness, the sudden absence of light a shocking void that swallowed the polite chatter of the banquet hall. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd, followed by nervous murmurs. I instinctively called out, my voice sharp with urgency, "Amelia, get behind me. Stay close." But before she could react, before I could even turn, a presence was upon me. A subtle shift in the air, a warmth that wasn't there a moment ago. Then, a distinct tingling sensation blossomed on my lips, soft and hesitant, yet undeniably deliberate. It was followed by the clean, sharp scent of pine wood, a fragrance I had come to associate with only one person. Theodore. My eyes flew wide open in the suffocating blackness, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. And in that chaotic, adrenaline-fueled second, instinct took over. My hands, moving of their own accord, reached up, my fingers tangling in the soft hair at the nape of his neck, pulling him impossibly closer. Was I playing with fire? Oh, I was dousing myself in gasoline and handing him the match. My younger sister Trade's obsession with a trashy, domineering CEO novel was becoming a genuine problem. Her grades were slipping, her future plans replaced with fantasies of being swept off her feet by a callous billionaire. She saw the female lead, Amelia, as her ultimate role model, and it was setting my teeth on edge. To save her from this path of delusion, I committed to a desperate act. I stayed up all night, forcing myself to read the very book that was poisoning her mind. The plot was infuriatingly predictable. Amelia, a character with genuine design talent and a strong work ethic, had the potential to be a powerhouse of independence. But the moment the male lead, Theodore, entered the picture, it all went down the drain. His aggressive, over-the-top pursuit, framed as romance, preyed on her insecurities stemming from a difficult family background. In the end, she abandoned her career, her dreams, her very identity, to become his personal chef and glorified housewife. I couldn't let my sister believe this was a desirable fate. True strength comes from building your own empire, not waiting to be rescued and installed in someone else's. If my sister was determined to become Amelia, then my path was clear. I couldn't change my sister directly, so I would have to change Amelia herself. And as fate, or perhaps the sheer force of my frustration, would have it, a sudden, fatal aneurysm sent me crashing into the very world I despised. I woke up as Henry, the novella Trade's forgotten second male lead, and the plot had only just begun. The battle for Amelia Trade's soul began with breakfast. As the novel dictated, Theodore, the domineering CEO, had initiated his campaign of affection by having his assistant, Matteo, deliver a lavish breakfast to Amelia every single morning. Amelia, with her sheltered upbringing and a romantic history as blank as a fresh canvas, was an easy target. Her family had ingrained in her the belief that a woman's greatest achievement was securing a wealthy husband. So, when Theodore Trade's expensive gestures began, she was understandably flustered and touched. I watched from my office as Matteo, oozing sycophantic charm, presented a gourmet takeout box and a single, perfect rose. Amelia Trade's hands flew to her mouth, her eyes wide with a mixture of shock and delight. She was about to accept it, to take the first step down that perilous path, but I intervened. "Miss Amelia," Matteo simpered, "this is the breakfast and rose Mr. Theodore personally requested for you." Before she could reach for it, I stepped forward, a cheerful pink thermos in my hand. "Amelia, you shouldn't start your day with cold takeout," I said, my tone warm and sincere. "I made these dumplings myself this morning. They're still hot." You should try them. I put all the confidence I could muster into that statement, channeling the skills I'd honed over 4 years at a prestigious culinary school. These weren't Euros trade tea just dumplings. They were weapons in my war against toxic masculinity. Amelia, clearly grateful for a more personal and less intimidating gesture, accepted my thermos with a radiant smile, leaving a bewildered Mateo standing awkwardly to the side. The next day, Theodore, or rather his lackey, tried to adapt. Mateo arrived not with takeout, but with dumplings purchased from a five-star hotel, clearly attempting to one-up me. He presented them with a flourish, but I was already there. "Amelia," I called out, holding another container. "I made spaghetti bolognese today. You had dumplings yesterday. Wouldn't Euros trade tea you get tired of having them again?" My voice was laced with a subtle, sarcastic challenge. And so it went for an entire week. Each morning was a culinary duel, my homemade, heartfelt meals consistently winning out against Theodore Euros trade's expensive, impersonal offerings. Finally, after a week of his breakfast deliveries being intercepted and his flowers wilting in rejection, Theodore himself decided to confront me. The door to my office didn't just open. It was kicked in, slamming against the wall with a thunderous crack. There he stood, the infamous domineering CEO, a figure of raw, untamed fury. He was clad in a perfectly tailored black suit that did little to hide the powerful physique beneath. The novel had no Euros trade tea been exaggerating about the broad shoulders and narrow waist. For a fleeting, inappropriate moment, my brain registered, "Damn, that waist is ridiculously slender." But the thought was vaporized by the sheer intensity of his anger. "Henry," he snarled, his voice a low growl, "what exactly is your game? Making breakfast for Amelia every single day. The company has a strict no-dating policy. Are you trying to get yourself fired?" I leaned back in my chair, projecting an aura of calm I did not feel. I offered him a placid smile. "Mr. President," I began, my tone deceptively mild, "if we Euros trade talking about company policy, what would you call having your assistant deliver breakfast and flowers to a female employee every day? Isn't Euros trade tea that also, by definition, a knowing violation of the rules?" His rage faltered, choked by the logic of my retort. He was momentarily speechless. "Amelia doesn't even eat the food Mateo brings," I continued, pressing my advantage. "It all goes to waste. Such a terrible shame, wasting good food." "Then you should just stop sending it," I suggested, my voice dripping with faux righteousness. My words were the spark that reignited his fury. He lunged forward, grabbing the pink thermos from my desk, his arm tensed to hurl it against the wall. But my next words froze him in place. "Mr. President, it would be a shame to waste that, too." He stopped, his hand hovering in midair, clutching my ridiculous pink thermos. He looked utterly lost, trapped between the urge to smash it and the absurdity of his position. Seeing his predicament, I decided to be magnanimous. As a high IQ employee, one must always know how to give the boss an escape route. I slid a pair of clean chopsticks across the desk. "How about you have a taste?" He shot me a suspicious glare. His eyes narrowed, but the aroma must have been tempting. He turned away slightly as if to hide the concession, and took a bite. A flicker of surprise crossed his features. "Eater Euros trade SAR Euros, quite delicious." And so, the great domineering CEO, the antagonist of my mission, ended up sitting in my office, silently eating the breakfast I had made for his intended romantic target. The fallout was immediate. Mateo had his quarterly bonus deducted, and for weeks, every time he saw me in the hallways, He looked at me as if I had personally murdered his puppy. With a breakfast offensive thwarted, Theodore switched tactics. He abandoned food and moved on to flowers. The deliveries became increasingly extravagant. First came a bouquet of 520 roses, then 1,314. And finally, a staggering arrangement of 9,999 red roses that barely fit through the office door. It was time for another intervention. I summoned Amelia to my office. "Director, you called for me?" she asked, looking intimidated by the floral jungle my office had become. "Amelia," I said gently, gesturing to the sea of red, "these roses are certainly beautiful. Do you like them?" She hesitated. "Director Euros, do you like them?" she asked cautiously. I chose not to answer directly. Instead, I pulled out a small, simple bouquet of wildflowers I had bought on my way to work. I pushed them across the desk towards her. "Amelia, what are euros trades the difference between these flowers, which I bought for myself, and all of those?" She shook her head, her expression one of genuine confusion. I smiled and placed the wildflowers in her hand. "The flowers we buy for ourselves are just as beautiful," I explained, my voice earnest. "We don't euros trade have to wait for someone else to give them to us. When you have the ability, you can buy as many as you want, any kind you want. Your happiness doesn't need to be a gift from someone else." I saw a shiver run through her as she clutched the small bouquet. It was as if a new idea was taking root. "Director euros, I understand." I decided to press the point home. "Amelia, I hope you can learn to stand independently in the sunshine, not as someone euros trade's accessory, living in their shadow." She froze, her back to me, processing my words. A few moments later, she returned, not to my office, but to the main workspace. Methodically, she gathered all the roses Theodore had sent and piled them neatly outside my door. She turned to me, her expression timid but resolute. "Director, don't euros trade worry. From now on, I will focus on my work." I gave her a nod of profound relief and immediately assigned her 3 new, challenging design projects. Her journey had truly begun. From that day forward, Amelia actively avoided Theodore, burying herself in her work. I thought my victory was assured, but I had underestimated the Sir Euros trade's persistence. Unable to corner Amelia at the office, he took the fight to a new battlefield, our department dinner. His sudden appearance cast a chill over the entire restaurant. The lively chatter died down to an awkward silence as every eye turned to the imposing figure of Theodore standing in the doorway. He cleared his throat, trying to appear magnanimous. "Our euros trade LL be covering the bill for everyone tonight," he announced. I couldn't euros trade resist. "The department dinner is already being reimbursed by the company," I replied coolly, not missing a beat. Theodore coughed, a flicker of irritation crossing his face, before striding over and planting himself in the empty seat next to Amelia. The seating arrangement was now a portrait of tension, Amelia in the middle, with Theodore on one side and me on the other, a silent, crackling energy arcing between us. We locked eyes, a silent declaration of war passing between us. Amelia, caught in the crossfire, looked deeply uncomfortable. "Director," she whispered, "maybe I should move your euros, you can sit here." At the exact same moment, Theodore and I spoke in unison. "Eater euros trade as him who should leave." We glared at each other, then both snorted and turned away in a huff. The atmosphere was suffocating until someone suggested a game of truth or dare, a welcome distraction. Predictably, the bottle of Eurostrade's first spin landed on Amelia, the halo of the female lead shining brightly. She chose truth. A colleague eagerly piped up, "Amelia, what kind of man do you like?" Amelia blushed a deep crimson. I like boys with a sense of masculinity." The words were barely out of her mouth before Theodore shot to his feet. He walked to her side, muttered a perfunctory, "Pardon the intrusion," and then, to Ariana Eurostrade's astonishment, swept her up into a bridal carry. What followed was one of the most bizarre displays I have ever witnessed. With Amelia in his arms, Theodore began doing squats, one after another, as if this were the ultimate proof of his masculine prowess. I stared, dumbfounded. Was this really happening? After completing a dozen or so reps, he even had the audacity to glance back at me with a look of smug provocation. That was it. He had challenged my honor. I stood up, walked over, and leaned close to his ear. "Sorry for the intrusion," I whispered, mimicking his words. Then I bent my knees, wrapped my arms around his surprisingly solid torso, and lifted him. The great, proud CEO was now in my arms. His initial expression was one of sheer terror, and he struggled to break free. But his challenge had ignited something primal in me. How could I let him escape? I said, my voice low. I gave him a little jolt, making him clutch at me tighter. "Hold on tight," I murmured. "You wouldn't Eurostrade want to fall." I then proceeded to do my own set of squats, with him as my weight. He was defeated. Utterly. He averted his gaze, his handsome face flushed with a mixture of anger and embarrassment. One of his hands had latched onto my thigh in his panic, nearly strangling me. "Henry, you are completely insane," he hissed. When I finally set him down, his composure was shattered. Amelia, on the other hand, was looking at me with an expression of pure, unadulterated excitement, as if she Eurostrade just witnessed the launch of her favorite ship. I shook my head, blaming it on the alcohol. By the end of the night, however, it was Theodore who was completely intoxicated, while I remained sober. As the party wound down, our colleagues found every excuse imaginable to flee, leaving me and a nervous Amelia with an unconscious CEO. "Director," Amelia stammered, "how about Euros?" I knew what was coming. In the novel's script, the kind-hearted female lead would take the drunk CEO home, a night of accidents would ensue, and all my hard work would be undone. "You don't Eurostrade need to do it." I cut her off, perhaps a little too sharply. She gave an embarrassed smile. "What I meant was," she clarified, "how about you send the CEO back? My apartment is quite far from here." I nodded, flooded with gratitude. This new, sensible Amelia was a marvel. She even knew how to create a plausible excuse for me. My relief, however, was short-lived. The moment we were alone, the unconscious CEO began to stir, and it turned out drunk Theodore was a tactile, flirty menace. He draped himself over me, his voice a low, charming murmur against my skin. "Am I good-looking?" he asked. To my utter mortification, I felt a blush creep up my neck. When I didn't answer, he became more insistent, his hand coming up to cup my face, forcing me to look at him. "Tell me," he demanded, his eyes boring into mine, "am I good-looking?" "Yes," I breathed, the word escaping against my will. "Yes, you are." For a dizzying moment, I was lost in his gaze. This man was a genuine, seductive demon. My inner voice was screaming, "Brother, we Eurostrade both men, but damn it, I Eurostrade am a man who is very much into men." He seemed to sense my turmoil. "Then why?" he murmured, his voice laced with a genuine, drunken sadness. Why didn't euros trade T? Amelia look at me once tonight. Why were her eyes always on you? He leaned in, his mouth brushing against my ear, his warm breath sending shivers down my spine. I tried to look away, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm, but he wouldn't let up. Under his repeated questioning, I finally cracked. Thina euros, do you think our euros trade am good looking? He scoffed, a look of contempt on his face, but then he leaned in, his expression turning serious as he studied my features. His fingers traced the line of my eyebrows, the bridge of my nose, and finally, my lips. The touch was electric. You seem to be quite good-looking, too, he evaluated objectively. But why, if we euros trade re both good-looking, does she not like me? He was so close, his questions pinning me down. My cheeks were on fire. I shoved him away, my composure unraveling. He stumbled back, a look of hurt in his eyes. You're euros, you don't euros trade T like meat either, he asked, his voice small and aggrieved. My blush deepened. I lowered my head, my voice barely a whisper. I do like you. I could sense him moving closer again, a premonition of what was to come seizing me. I closed my eyes, issuing a final, desperate, Theodore, if you keep this up, don't euros trade T blame me for what happens next. But the moment was shattered by a loud retching sound from the bathroom. My thoughts snapped back to reality. Hey, are you okay in there? I called out, patting the door. No response. Theodore, still nothing. A spike of panic hit me. Had something happened? I shoved the door open and froze. Theodore was standing under the showerhead, water cascading over him. His shirt was half unbuttoned, revealing a chest that was sculpted to perfection. The water traced paths down his firm muscles, and my gaze, against my better judgment, lingered on his pectorals. I was losing control. He saw me, and a slow, mischievous grin spread across his face. Well, brother, he slurred, gesturing to his own body. Isn't euros trade T my figure better than yours? It was blatant, unapologetic seduction. I swallowed hard, trying to regain my composure. Gritting my teeth, I grabbed the nearest towel and roughly wrapped it around him, bundling him up like a misbehaving child. As I dragged him out, I could still hear him whining behind me, I hate you. It doesn't matter that he hates me, I thought to myself, a wry smile touching my lips. I quite like him. It seemed that Theodore, despite his inebriation, remembered everything from that night. He stopped loitering around our department, and Amelia, free from his advances, began to flourish. I provided her with opportunities, mentored her, and watched with pride as her talent blossomed. In just 2 months, she was promoted to a full-time designer. Just as I was beginning to believe my mission was complete, Matteo reappeared, this time bearing an elegant evening gown and a box of expensive jewelry for Amelia. A bolt of lightning shot through me. I had forgotten the banquet. In the novel, this was the night of Theodore and Amelia's first kiss, a moment orchestrated by a convenient power outage. I would not allow it. What are you doing in our department again? I snarled, venting all my frustration on the hapless assistant. This entire company belongs to the president, Matteo retorted, his arrogance restored. Can you control what he asks me to do? I snatched the jewelry box from Amelia euros trade's hand and flipped it open. The dazzling sparkle of diamonds was almost blinding. I turned to her. Amelia, since eater euros trade's from the president, you should accept it. But remember, when you start earning your own money, you can buy yourself something even better. She nodded, understanding. Later that evening, at the banquet, I was on high alert. Amelia, I instructed, You are to stay by my side the entire night. Do not leave my sight for a second. I had taken every precaution, even having the hotel staff pre-check all the electrical circuits. I kept Amelia glued to my hip, far away from Theodore, and yet the lights still went out. The world plunged into darkness. I shouted her name, pulling her behind me, but in the next second I felt that now familiar tingle on my lips, followed by the scent of pinewood. It was Theodore. My heart leaped into my throat, but this time was different. Instead of pushing him away, my arms wrapped around his neck, pulling him closer. This wasn't just a kiss, it was a battle. He deepened the kiss, trying to break through my defenses, his palm tracing a slow, burning path down my back. Wait a minute, I thought, a sudden wave of panic cutting through the haze. We won our Eurostrade tea at that stage yet. I opened my mouth and bit down hard. A sharp, metallic taste of rust filled my mouth. A pained hiss echoed in the darkness, uniquely Theodore's. When the lights flickered back on moments later, he was gone. I spat on the ground in a rather undignified manner. Beast, I cursed under my breath. At least Amelia was safe. I could just write this off as a bizarre, passionate encounter. That night, I slept like a baby. Theodore, on the other hand, tossed and turned, his fingers constantly brushing against his swollen lips, the memory of our dark kiss keeping him awake until dawn. The following morning, I walked into the department to find Theodore standing at the entrance, holding an enormous bouquet of roses, looking like a preening peacock. I noticed the distinct cut on his lip and couldn't help but roll my eyes. The moment Amelia appeared, his loyal dog Matteo sprang into action. "Mr. President, these 1,314 roses are so beautiful. Who is the lucky person receiving them from you personally?" Theodore Eurostrade's voice was a low purr as he held the bouquet out towards Amelia. "These are for the little kitten that secretly bit me yesterday." Amelia looked completely bewildered, shaking her head frantically. "President, I have no idea what you are Eurostrade talking about. I didn't Eurostrade see any kitten yesterday." Theodore Eurostrade's smile was predatory. "Amelia, don't Eurostrade be nervous. I Eurostrade am not blaming you. I actually thought that little wildcat was quite cute." Her fear only intensified, and she shot me a desperate, pleading look. That was my cue. I straightened my tie, strode towards them, tilted my head, and made a fist, holding it up to my cheek. "Meow," I said sweetly. "Mr. President, were you looking for me?" Theodore froze. The color drained from his face as he stared at me, then at the wound on his lip, then back to Amelia. "Was it really not you yesterday?" he asked her, his voice strained. "No," she squeaked. I smiled wider. "Mr. President, the little wildcat you are Eurostrade looking for is right here. So, about these Rasa Euros." Theodore Eurostrade's eyes turned bloodshot. His hands clenched into fists at his sides, the knuckles cracking audibly. A guttural roar seemed to be ripped from his chest. "Henry, you are Euros, you pervert!" Before I could even retort, he hurled the entire bouquet at me. The sharp thorns scraped against my cheek, drawing a thin line of blood. "Director, are you okay?" Amelia cried out, rushing to my side. I had, for the first time, pushed Theodore to the absolute brink of his fury, and I had to admit, it felt incredibly satisfying. A little scratch was a small price to pay. Or so I thought. The next thing I knew, a cold clinical dismissal notice was slapped onto my desk by someone from HR. Blindsided and furious, I stormed straight to the top floor, ignoring Mater Eurostrade's shocked expression. I kicked open Theodore Eurostrade's office door. Euros, a habit I seemed to be developing, euros, and slammed the notice down on his polished mahogany desk. Theodore, if you are Eurostrade sick, go see a doctor. Don't a Eurostrade throw your tantrums at me. Why the hell did you fire me? He didn't Eurostrade even look up from his papers. Lack of virtue. Unworthy of your position. This company does not support idle hands. You are Eurostrade so petty. I exploded. You kissed me, and I Eurostrade am not even the one war Eurostrade's angry. What are you so mad about? 4 euros. He gritted his teeth, a vein throbbing in his forehead. Finally, he looked at me, his eyes cold. Name your price. How much will it take for you to leave Amelia alone? The pieces clicked into place. It was still about her. A wave of indignation washed over me. Unless, I said, leaning over his desk, a wicked idea forming, you let me kiss you back. His face darkened. Henry, Dona Eurostrade push your luck. If you dare get near Amelia again, I swear I will beat you to a pulp. I pressed forward, forcing him to retreat until he was backed up against his own desk. I stared directly into his eyes, my voice a low threat. And if you get near Amelia again, be careful I don't Eurostrade take you down. My hand landed on his chest, perhaps not entirely by accident. Through the thin fabric of his shirt, I could feel the frantic, wild beating of his heart. His body temperature seemed to scorch my palm. Henry euros, this is harassment, he stammered, a betraying blush creeping up his earlobes. I patted his shoulder, feigning sympathy. Mr. President, there are Eurostrade's no need to hang yourself on one woman. How about you consider me? That seemed to short-circuit his brain entirely. I want a Eurostrade go near Amelia in the future, he said in a flurry, holding up a single finger. 1 million. Our Eurostrade LL give you 1 million as compensation. You leave the company, and you stay away from me. A pie had just fallen from the sky and landed squarely in my lap. I reached out, my index finger gently tapping his. Eater Eurostrade's a deal. As I turned to leave, I blew him a theatrical kiss. Theodore Eurostrade's face turned the color of a boiled lobster, his expression a chaotic mix of fury, confusion, and something else I couldn't quite name. As a newly minted millionaire, my first order of business was to find a new job in the same building as Theodore Eurostrade's company, allowing me to conveniently observe his and Amelia Eurostrade's movements. In a bizarre twist of fate, I ended up being hired as the new design director at the company of William, Theodore Eurostrade's sworn business rival. Theodore somehow got wind of this and began making frequent, unannounced visits to my new workplace. He would stand there, his eyes practically glued to me, under the flimsy pretext of mutual learning, as if his massive, publicly listed corporation had anything to learn from William Eurostrade's small, struggling studio. I was starting to suspect he had ulterior motives, but I had no concrete evidence. So, one sunny morning, as he stepped through the door yet again, I decided to call his bluff. I leaned against the doorframe, a smirk on my face. Mr. Theodore, you visit my company more often than my own boss does. Don't a Eurostrade tell me where Eurostrade fallen in love with me. He was so startled he actually slipped, nearly falling flat on his face. You are Eurostrade so conceited, he muttered, steadying himself against the wall before turning and fleeing. William, my new boss, was paying me triple my old salary, and I felt a pressing need to earn it. I threw myself into my work, working overtime to revitalize his company while still keeping tabs on Amelia. The news on both fronts was excellent. Theodore, true to his word, had kept his distance from her, and my new designs were a massive success, launching William Eurotrade's company out of near bankruptcy and directly eclipsing Theodore Eurotrade's flagship product. For the first time, William had beaten his rival, and he rewarded me with a six-figure bonus. But my success only seemed to make Theodore more persistent. He continued to show up, causing a stir among my female colleagues every time. William, far from being annoyed, saw Theodore as a sort of spiritual motivator for the staff and turned a blind eye. This left me, as the second in command, to entertain our unwanted guest. He wasn't Eurostrade tea demanding. A cup of instant coffee was enough to keep him seated in the corner for an entire afternoon, doing nothing but staring at me. It was deeply unsettling. Every time I confronted him, asking if he liked me, he would deftly change the subject, praising the quality of the instant coffee. I finally reached my breaking point and told William that if Theodore was allowed in again, I would quit. From then on, Theodore was barred by the access control, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was still being watched. Life at the new company was Euros interesting. William, buoyed by his recent success, had developed a bit of an ego. He seemed to believe that the female colleagues who were secretly swooning over Theodore were actually admiring him. His newfound confidence led to a rather comical incident where he tried to make a cool exit, slipped on a banana peel, and ended up with a severely strained back. Too embarrassed to see a doctor, he secretly enlisted me to apply medicinal wine to his injury in his office every day. This led to a series of highly ambiguous situations. My colleagues would watch me enter his office, and then watch me leave 20 minutes later, their eyes filled with knowing smirks. Inevitably, word of this arrangement reached Theodore Eurostrade's ears, setting the stage for an impending storm. "Henry, my office, now," William called, raising his eyebrows suggestively. It was time for his daily rub-down. Inside, I found him awkwardly positioned. "Bend your waist a little more," I instructed. "I can't Eurostrade to get any leverage like this." No, it hurts too much," he wailed. I grabbed his collar in exasperation and pushed him onto the table. "How about you just lie flat on the table?" "All right," he agreed, turning his head to look back at me. "But you have to promise to be gentle." I picked up the bottle of medicinal wine, and before I had even touched him, he began to cry out dramatically. "No, Henry, be gentle. Our Eurostrade am going to die. Just bear with it. It'll Eurostrade be over soon," I said, increasing the pressure out of sheer impatience. His wails grew louder. "I can't Eurostrade stand it. It hurts so much. Be gentle. If you keep this up, I won't Eurostrade like you anymore." Just as this ridiculous scene was unfolding, a commotion erupted outside the door. "Mr. Theodore, our boss is busy. Please come back another time." Theodore Eurostrade's icy voice cut through the receptionist. "Eurostrade's please. Are you deaf? Didn't Eurostrade you hear William moaning in there? Is he with Henry?" "I heard, sir, but you still have to wait." Wait for what?" Theodore roared. "Wait while he seduces my boyfriend. If I wait any longer, my boyfriend will run off with someone else." With a deafening bang, the office door was kicked open. Theodore stood there, a vision of righteous fury, taking in the scene: William lying on the table, and me standing over him, bottle in hand. William, forgetting his injury, shot up and yelled, "Theodore, you are Eurostrade crazy. You have to pay for that door." Theodore strode forward, shoved William away from me, and pulled out a checkbook. He scribbled a string of zeros and threw the check at William. "This will cover the door and your medical expenses. Now get out." He was, I had to admit, breathtakingly handsome in that moment. William, grinning from ear to ear, scooped up the check and scurried out of the office, calling over his shoulder, "Henry, serve Mr. Theodore well." I glared at him. That million wasn't for me. "You go, I go. Make room for Mr. Theodore," I said, turning to leave. "Henry, stop right there," Theodore commanded, his face a thundercloud. "Mr. Theodore, Arena Eurostrade, you here to find your boyfriend?" I asked, turning back to face him, winking provocatively and putting heavy emphasis on the word, "a circumflex Euro's boyfriend." "A circumflex Eurostrade, you heard wrong," he explained quickly. What I said was Euros that friend. He still wouldn't Eurostrade admit it. I rolled my eyes. "Oh well, what does it matter to me? I'er Eurostrade am leaving." Seeing his face grow darker with frustration was giving me immense satisfaction. "Henry, don't Eurostrade go," he said, grabbing my arm. "I'er Eurostrade LL give you 1 million too." "No pains, no gains," I retorted. "What are Eurostrade's this million for? To be your boyfriend?" I elongated the word, my tone dripping with insinuation. His ears turned a bright shade of red. "This 1 million euros is for you to come back to my company and work." Still not admitting it, my patience snapped. "Forget it. There are plenty of handsome young men in this company waiting for me. I can't Eurostrade bear to leave them. I have no interest in working for a boss who can't Eurostrade even be honest with himself." I had always thought the CEOs in those novels were ridiculously overpowered, godlike figures. I was wrong. The man I had taunted so mercilessly yesterday had, by this morning, completed a full acquisition of William's company. I was now, once again, his employee. William, the ultimate opportunist, practically trapped me and sent me to Theodore Eurostrade's office. "Either Eurostrade's either you or me," Theodore said, an expression of smug victory on his face, clearly expecting me to beg for my job. I threw my new company access card on his desk. "William asked me to bring you this. From now on, you can come and go as you please. Henry, don't Eurostrade forget that I am your boss. Watch your attitude," he warned, putting on his CEO airs. I was past caring. "If you have the guts, fire me." He didn't Eurostrade fire me. Instead, he had me transferred to the Human Resources Department. I was furious about the transfer, but I hadn't Eurostrade forgotten my original mission. Before starting my new, pointless job, I dropped by the design department to check on Amelia. She looked haggard, Euro's pale face, dark circles under her eyes, messy hair Euros, but she radiated an aura of competence and determination. She was in the throes of a genuine struggle, and she was winning. I nodded, deeply satisfied. The moment she saw me, her eyes welled up with tears. "Director," she sobbed, "you are so competitive." I was utterly confused. After she explained, I understood. In my absence, she had been promoted to chief designer. To prove herself, she had been practically living at the office. I patted her on the back. "Amelia, congratulations." She looked at me, stunned. "Now you don't have to worry about rent, do you?" She nodded. "You have more opportunities to express your own ideas, to be yourself." She nodded again. "And you are Eurostrade enjoying the feeling of accomplishment." of being known not as some assistant or a circumflex euros the woman the president likes a circumflex euros trade, but as a designer in your own right. A slow smile spread across her face. Director, I understand. In the past, I could only find my value in what other people said about me. But now, I am Amelia. I am an independent designer. In that moment, watching her transformation, I, a grown man who had traveled through dimensions, felt an unexpected sting in my eyes. My mission was complete. Amelia was saved, which meant to euros I was now free to pursue my own sweet relationship. As if reading my mind, Amelia tilted her head. Director, did you come to see the boss today and just drop by to see me? I nodded absently. She gave me a knowing look. I knew it. From the day Matteo started bringing those breakfasts, I could tell you were jealous. You even called me to your office to imply that the boss euros trade's flowers were meant for you, and I only deserved a cactus. She continued her astonishingly accurate analysis. And at the party, when you were holding the president and doing squats, your eyes were just filled with love. Did something happen after you took him home that night? No, nothing, I denied frantically, my face burning. She gave me a skeptical look that clearly said, Donna euros trade tea lied to me. What a pity, she sighed, looking genuinely disappointed. I can tell the president really likes you. My interest was immediately piqued. What do you mean? And so, Amelia laid it all out for me how Theodore had Matteo investigate my whereabouts. How he canceled a major cooperation deal just for an excuse to visit my new company. How he euros trade D even planted a new employee to spy on me. I laughed, a mixture of anger and amusement bubbling up inside me. So, Theodore, you are euros trade LL do all of that, but you corner euros trade T bring yourself to say 3 simple words. Fine. If you want to be heartless, then Donna euros trade T blame me for being unjust. My first act in the HR department was to launch a very special recruitment drive. I was officially looking for a partner. The requirements were simple: male, over 1.8 meters tall, 8-pack abs, and a mouth capable of honest communication. The notice caused an uproar. My office threshold was nearly trampled flat by eager applicants. The first candidate was a surprise. It was Matteo, the Presidente euros trade's loyal assistant. He shyly handed me his resume and winked. Mr. Henry, I had no idea we shared the Samir euros hobby. I felt a wave of disgust and tossed his resume back without a glance. Sorry, you don't euros trade T meet the basic requirements. Another young man stepped forward, blushing furiously. Director, I euros trade V liked you for a long time. I hope you can give me a chance. I took his resume. Tell me your advantages. I euros trade M1. 8 meters tall, I have 8-pack abs, I can cook, and I euros trade am very obedient, he rattled off. I nodded, impressed. Not bad. Go back and wait for the notice. Next, I reached for the next resume, but the person holding it wouldn't euros trade T let go. I looked up, annoyed, and my breath caught in my throat. It was Theodore. He stood before me, his face a mask of cold fury. He turned to the long queue of hopefuls behind him. All of you get back to work, he commanded, his voice deadly calm. If anyone dares to participate in this kind of nonsense again, I will personally ensure you are euros trade out on the street doing a real job interview. The crowd dispersed in seconds. He turned back to me and snorted. I didn't euros trade T realize you were so popular. Oh, thank you for the compliment, I sneered. To what do I owe the pleasure, Mr. CEO? His face suddenly turned red. He looked away, nervous, and shoved a piece of paper into my hand. "Ir euros trade mar euros ir euros trade am here for the interview." I nearly choked. "What? Did I hear you correctly?" His face grew even redder. "Ir euros trade am here for the interview," he repeated, his voice barely a whisper. My heart began to race. I forced myself to remain calm. "All right then, tell me your advantages." He took a deep breath. "Ir euros trade M1, 88 meters tall. I have an A-pack, and Ir euros trade M rich." I shook my head dismissively. So, he visibly panicked. "Ir euros trade mar euros ir euros trade am also good in bed," he stammered, a blush spreading all the way to his ears. My lips curled into a smirk. "And what good is that to me? Ir euros trade am the one on top." I pointed a thumb upwards. He stared at me, his eyes wide with shock, his face now a spectacular shade of crimson. "We corner euros, we can discuss that later," he sputtered. "You should focus on your work first." He was clearly terrified that I would continue the interviews. The very next day, I was transferred back to the design department. I was back in my kingdom, a TRO and CTA, and just like that, the power dynamic shifted once again. Theodore may have won the battle by buying the company, but by bravely, or perhaps foolishly, applying to be my boyfriend, he showed his true hand. The game was far from over. In fact, it felt like it had only just begun. What do you think will happen next between these two? And was Theodore's unconventional interview the most awkward or the most romantic confession you've ever heard? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you loved this roller coaster of a story, please show your support by hitting that like button. And be sure to subscribe to the channel for more tales of love, rivalry, and domineering CEOs who just can't seem to admit what they really want. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.